This is Madison Lation, student number 11600-221 at Charles Sturt University, and this is my Pecha Kucha presentation on Mexico and the information services it offers. Mexico is located in the North American continent, in a narrow landmass bridging the USA with the South American continent. Mexico has a subtropical climate and a population of over 130 million people. Most people speak a dialect of Spanish, although there are 68 indigenous Mexican languages. Mexico is a developing country. Because of this, the information services are of mixed quality. A rich information heritage with a scattering of prized services and investments contrast with disadvantages that show their poor resources. A number of information services types that are available in Mexico include academic, public, special, and school libraries, as well as archives and museums. Generally, Mexican libraries are famous for their rich historical collections. There are over 4,000 graduated librarians in Mexico. Many have undergraduate degrees, but some have masters or doctorates. However, most library professions do not have degrees and mainly work to care for collections. Graduate librarians work in academic and special libraries. School and public libraries are without trained librarians. The academic libraries are the best resource libraries in Mexico. They have access to modern technologies and larger budgets financed by the government at federal, state, and sometimes county level. Although not every academic library is well developed, all include good facilities and services. Public libraries are valued and large. They are operated as state, regional, or county libraries that are set up through agreements between the three government tiers. The federal government, which is the central office in Mexico City, is in charge of creating library policies. It supervises collection development, acquisitions, and technical services. State governments pay for the construction of buildings, and county authorities hire staff and pay staff salaries. Public libraries are mainly used for leisure. Special libraries, like academic libraries, are well developed with excellent collections, fundings, and professional staff. Special libraries are organized into clusters: science and technology, research, government, and private sector collections. In contrast, most junior schools do not have their own libraries. A few have minimal resources and tight funding. The entire government funding for junior schools is limited, so most schools can't afford libraries. A very high primary school dropout rate means the education system remains poor. Government response is through a reading program that offers shared library collections to schools and students. The General Archive of the Nation is the main archive of Mexico. It holds the most inclusive records of the history, culture, and people of Mexico and is highly treasured. Separate to this, every state in Mexico operates an archive with its own form of management and funding. Each has a unique criteria for retaining, archiving, and storing records. Each county of the states of Mexico also have offices for keeping records made by the local government. Each county is responsible for its own office and records. Museums are created and managed by different people and by government departments. Among stakeholders are federal, state, and county governments, community groups, private sectors, companies, and individuals. Some of Mexico's libraries are so large they have a library included with them. Mexican people have a rich cultural heritage that they protect. The many museums reflect this investment. The stories of history are rich with people who believe, overcome, and tried again in the midst of hardship. They have faced many challenges, but they move forward, treasuring their history. The country itself is beautiful with many hardships, but the wonder and love of Mexican culture stands out. Their passion stands out internationally. As a developing country with many unemployed job seekers and a large percent of families with incomes below the poverty line, Mexicans struggle to maintain an information-literate culture. Reading and writing is basic, with vocal communications being the preferred method of transferring ideas. Many suburban and rural areas receive patchy or no postal services, which further physically alienates families from information. Statistically, 94% of the adult population can read and write. In reality, with the high primary school dropout rate, literacy skills are generally very basic. Even when people can access information, which distance and poverty may prevent, many are unable to understand or use the content. As a Spanish-speaking country, Mexico is further isolated from the many international information resources. These are often written in English, the dominant internet language. In time, with increased exposure to network technologies, Mexico will become more exposed to other ideas, but this may lead to some identity issues. Despite the intellectual and physical barriers to information and the severe impact from crime, conflict, and other political challenges, Mexico has a strong identity and a history that is rich and important. The information Mexicans treasure is handed down through ancestry. The Mexicans hold on to this information through artifacts and stories, and they have the passion to keep these treasures forever.